Good morning everyone. Myself Dr. K. Sujata, Associate Professor, Department of Information Technology. In today's session, we are going to discuss about inheritance, one of the object-oriented programming concept. So, we all know that there are many object-oriented programming concepts. So, first one is class, object, inheritance, polymorphism, encapsulation, abstraction. So, out of those object-oriented programming concepts, in today's session, we are going to know about inheritance and what are the different types of inheritance, how a class can be inherited with example programs that we are going to see. So, first of all, we need to know what is meant by inheritance. So, see here the mechanism of deriving a new class from an old one is called as inheritance. The mechanism of deriving a new class from an old class is to be called as inheritance. The old class which is inherited is to be called as a superclass or a base class or a parent class. The class that is inherited, which is to be called as new class, that is to be called as, which is does inheriting, that is to be called as a subclass or a derived class. The class, that is the old class which is inherited, is called as base class or parent class, which is also to be called as superclass. The class which does inheriting, that is nothing but a new class, which is to be called as a child class or a subclass. Inheritance allows subclasses to inherit or to access all the variables and methods from the superclasses. Now here we will see what are the different types of inheritance that we have. So see here we have single inheritance, we have multiple inheritance, we have hybrid inheritance. Not only these three, we have multi-level inheritance and we have hierarchical inheritance. Now we will see each and every type of inheritance one by one with example programs. Now see the first one, single inheritance. So see here, single inheritance means derivation of a subclass from only one superclass is to be called as single inheritance. Derivation of one class from only one superclass is to be called as single inheritance. See here, superclass, or it is also to be called as base class or a parent class. Here you can see one more new class which is to be called as subclass or derived class or a child class. This class inherited from the given superclass, right. Now, so here you can see how that inheritance can be done, that single inheritance can be done. What are the keywords that we can use in our Java programming for doing such an inheritance? So here we use a keyword called extends. Extends is the keyword which is used to inherit one class, that is a new class from the existing old class. Now here you can see A is the old class. Here I have written, here we have defined class A. Class A, so within the, after writing whatever the variables and methods that are present in class A, so after this we are going to write another class. Here the class name is B. Here we have used a keyword named extends. Here we have used a keyword named extends. Here we have written the name of the superclass, which is nothing but A. So which indicates that here A is the superclass or parent class, B is the subclass or child class. The class B inherits all the properties of class A. So such type of inheritance is to be called as single inheritance. Now here we will see an example program for single inheritance. So here you can see a Java program. Here all these are the import statements. For the execution of this particular program, we need to import some statements. Those statements are java.io, java.lang, java.util. All these are the packages, IO package, lang package and util package. These three packages that we are importing. Now here you can see the program. Here first we are taking a class named 1. We defined that class 1. Within this class, I have a method name. The method name is print Greek. Here the method name is print Greek. Now the method doesn't have any return values, so that we have represented its return type as void, and I made this method as a public method which can be accessible to every class. So public void print Greek. So this method is having its body, so which contains a print statement which prints the term geeks. So this entirely represents the superclass. Now I want to derive one new class from this superclass. Now here you can see I have defined another class 2. Now I want to derive this class from the old class. That's why here we have used the keyword extends. Class 2 extends 1. Now this class is also having a method named print for. This class is also having a method named print for. Here this class is having a method named print Greek. Now this class is having a statement, a print statement which prints a word which is nothing but for. Now finally here we have written a driver class which represents the main class. The driver class always represents the main class. Now here I have written the main method. So public class, for defining this main method, here we have taken a class. The name of that class is main, and here we have written a main method, public static void main string args. Now here you can see that I have taken the second class. The name of the second class is 2. The name of the second class is 2. I want to create object for this second class. Here I have written the object name. Object name is G is equal to new is the keyword which is used to create instances for the given classes. New I have written. Here this is the constructor name. So for this class the constructor name I have written. So 2G is equal to new 2. So there I have created an object for the child class. Now with the child class object I am going to access the method which is present in superclass as well as subclass. So the method which is present in my superclass is print Greek. The method which is present in my subclass is print for. Now by using the same object G, here I am going to access print Greek method as well as print for method. Again third time I accessed that print Greek method. Second time I accessed that print Greek method. Now when I executed this program, what becomes the output of the program? Now first I called print Greek method. What is the statement that is printed in print Greek method? Geeks is the word that I have printed. That statement will be printed here. After that I accessed print for method which prints a word named for, that can be printed here, and again I called print geek method which prints a word named geeks. Right. So I hope that you have understand how we derived a subclass from the superclass. Here I have only one superclass. From that one superclass only one subclass is derived which is to be called as single inheritance. Right. Now coming to the next one, multiple inheritance. What is meant by multiple inheritance? Derivation of a class from another derived class. Derivation of a class from another derived class is to be called as multi-level inheritance. Now here you can see that I have a superclass and I have a subclass. This subclass is derived from the superclass. Again I have one more subclass. This subclass is derived from this subclass. Here already this is a derived class. from this derived class I have derived one more subclass which is to be called as multi-level inheritance. So here you can see that here I have a method X in this superclass. Here this subclass can access the method which is present in superclass, as well as it may have its own methods. Here it is having a method Y. Now coming to subclass 2, which is derived from this subclass, here it can access the method which is present in its grandparent class, which is nothing but superclass, and it can access a method which is present in its parent class, which is nothing but subclass 1, which contains a method Y that can be accessed here. This class itself may have another method. That method is Z, right. So in multiple levels we have inherited. So in this way we can go for inheriting the subclasses in many more levels, not only 2 levels, right. Now we are going to see, so here one more simple example that you can see here, class A, simple one, class A. So after writing its variables and methods, I have taken another class B. Now I want to inherit class B from class A. So class B extends A. Whatever the variables and methods that are present in B, that I have written right here, and I have taken another class C, which is inherited from class B, which is inherited from class B. Here this is A is the superclass, B is the subclass 1 which is inherited from A, C is subclass 2 which is inherited from B. So at any case we need to use the keyword extends. For doing inheritance we need to use the keyword extends, right. Now here you can see an example program for doing that multi-level inheritance. So here whatever the required libraries, I have imported the required libraries as usually in the before example. So IO package, lang package and util package. Now first I have taken class 1, So this class consists of a method whose name is print Greek, which prints the word geeks. Now this class is closed. Now I have taken second class, class 2. This class extends 1, that is here 1 is the superclass, 2 is the subclass 1. Now this itself is having its own method. The method name is print for. It is having a print statement which prints the word for. Now the subclass 1 is also completed. Now we are going to take another subclass, class 3, that extends 2, which is here 3 is the subclass 2 and 2 is subclass 1. Here this is having its own method which is nothing but print last geek, which prints the word geeks. Now here I have written 3 classes, class 1 which is a superclass, class 2 which is subclass 1 and class 3 which is subclass 2. Now I need to execute this program. For executing this program we need to have a main method. So for that here we are writing the driver class. Now public class main, in this class we are writing a main method, public static void main. Now I want to create an object. Now for which class I need to create the object? So if I create an object for the superclass, I can access only the method which is present in the superclass. If I create an object for subclass 1, I can access the method which is present in superclass as well as the method which is present in subclass 1, but I cannot access the method which is present in subclass 2. So that we are creating an object for subclass 2. So if I create an object for subclass 2, I can access the method which is present in superclass, subclass 1, subclass 2, right. So 3, here G is the object name, new 3, I have created object for the subclass 2, and here I accessed the methods which are present in superclass, subclass 1 and subclass 2. So by executing this program, I will get an output like this. My print geek method contains a print statement which prints the word geeks. My print for method is having a statement, it prints a statement, so that statement contains a word for. And again my third subclass which contains a method print last geek, which also prints a word called geeks. Now I hope that you understand what is multi-level inheritance. So here I have a superclass, from that superclass a child class can be derived, from that child class another child class can be derived, from that child class another child class can be derived. Such type of derivation can be done for multiple levels, which is to be called as multi-level inheritance. And coming to the next one, hierarchical inheritance. What is meant by hierarchical inheritance? Here you can see the derivation of several classes from a single superclass is to be called as hierarchical inheritance. The derivation of several subclasses from a single superclass, that is to be called as hierarchical inheritance. See here, class A, it is a superclass. Here I have two classes, class B and class C. Class B is derived from class A and class C is also derived from class A. Now class B can access the method A which is present in superclass and it is having its own method B. Class C can also access the method which is present in class A and it is having its own method C. Now class B and class C are the sibling classes. Those are from a single parent. Those two classes are from a single parent. Now here class C cannot access the methods or variables which are present in class B, but it can access all the variables and methods which are present in class A. Now you can clearly understand if we see an example. See here a basic example. I have taken class A which is a superclass. Here I have defined another class B. This extends the superclass A, and here I have taken another class C. This extends again the superclass A, and I have taken another class B which extends the superclass A. That is, that superclass A is having three child classes B, C and D. All the three child classes can access the variables and methods from the superclass, but one child class cannot access the variables and methods from other child class. Right. Now I want to show you an example for this also. Now see here, I have taken class A which contains a method print A which prints a statement, a word which is to be called as class A. It is having a one single print statement. So that print statement prints the word class A. Now here I have taken class B. This extends class A. Here A is superclass, B is subclass. This is also having a method named print B. Here the method name is print A. Here the method name is print B. This is also having a statement, a print statement which prints class B. Now here I have taken another class C. This also extends A. Here A is the superclass. From A, B is extended and C is extended. These two are to be called as sibling classes. Right. Now here it is having a method print C which contains a print statement that prints class C, and I have taken another class D. This also extends A. That is, from A we have three child classes. Those three child classes are B, C and D. So for executing this entire program I need to have a driver class. Here for writing the main method I have written the driver class method. So driver class, that is public class test, which contains a main method. There you can see here I have created object for class B. B, object of B, new B. Now can I access by creating a single object all the methods which are present here in this inheritance? No. Here class B can access its own method and the methods which are present in its superclass. Class C can access its own method and the methods which are present in its superclass. It cannot access the methods or variables which are present in B. And class D also can access its own method and the methods variables which are present in its superclass, but not the methods or variables which are present in class C and class B. Now here you can see, that's why I have created objects for all the three classes. Here object B is the object of the class B, object C is the object of class C, object D is the object of class B. Now here you can see, with that object I can access the method which is present in its superclass as well as the method present within its. Now here I can access print A as well as print B. Now with the object which is present in object C, with the object of class C, I can access the method which is present in A as well as its own method print C. Now with the object of D, I can access the method which is present in A as well as print D also. Now here you can see the output. So for these two print statement accessings, here I can have class A and class B can be printed, and from these I can print class A and class C, and from these two statements I can print class A and class B. I hope that you are understanding this inheritance, hierarchical inheritance also. Now till now we covered three types of inheritances. One is single inheritance, second one is multi-level inheritance, and third one is hierarchical inheritance. Coming to the next one, hybrid inheritance. What is meant by hybrid inheritance? Before this we have one more inheritance, that is multiple inheritance. That multiple inheritance cannot be possible to do with the classes. So that's why first I am going to explain hybrid inheritance, later I will show the multiple inheritance. Hybrid inheritance means derivation of a class involving more than one form of inheritance. Here that contains more than one form of inheritance. Such type of inheritance is to be called as hybrid inheritance. Here you can see the example. If I consider just these two classes, class B is inherited from class A, which represents a single inheritance. Now here if you see all these classes, here class D is inherited from class B as well as class C, which represents a multiple inheritance that I will discuss later. Now if you see up to this one, if you see all these three classes, you can see that there is a multi-level inheritance, right? The combination of multiple types of inheritances is to be called as hybrid inheritance. Now here you can see an example for this hybrid inheritance also. Here class A, which is a super class, I have taken another class B which extends A, and I have taken another class C which extends A. Here if I take only these two statements, it is to be called as single inheritance. If I take these three statements, it is to be called as hierarchical inheritance. If I take this one, class D extends C, which if I take these three statements, which represents multi-level inheritance. Now here you can see that from A I have inherited B, which represents a single inheritance. If I inherited C, which represents again a single inheritance. If I inherited D from C, which represents a multi-level inheritance. Now B and C, these two are inherited from A, which is to be called as hierarchical inheritance. So it includes single inheritance, multi-level inheritance, and hierarchical inheritance. The combination of three classes of inheritances are present here. That's why this type of inheritance is to be called as hybrid inheritance. And coming to the example, so see here I have written a class solar system. From this class here I have written another one more class which is to be called as earth. This extends solar system. Here solar system is a superclass. Earth is the subclass of this solar system, and Mars extends solar system. And here you can observe that Earth class and Marth class. These two are the subclasses from solar system. That is, these two classes are the sibling classes. These two can access all the methods and variables which are present in solar system. But Mars cannot access any variable or method from Earth, and Earth cannot access any variable or method from Mars. And here you can see public class Moon which extends Earth. Now here this Moon is extended from this subclass. So if I are these three, which is to be called as a multi-level inheritance. Now here I have written a main method within this subclass, and here I have created an object for solar system, and I have created an object for Earth class, and I have created an object for Mars class. With these three objects, I want to access whatever the methods and variables which are present in those classes. Now here you can see I have written, just I want to know whether that instance is present or not for simplicity. Now here I have written a print statement. Here this is the object name of solar system class, object name instance of solar system. If it is an instance of solar system, then it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Now is S is instance of solar system or not? Yes, S is the object of solar system. It is an instance of solar system. So it returns true. Now E, so if it is instance of Earth, it prints true, otherwise it prints false. Now let us see. E is object of Earth class. So it is instance of Earth class. So it prints true again. Now here you can see M is instance of solar system. If it is instance of solar system, then it prints true, otherwise it prints false. You can see M is here, it is instance of Mars, but it prints true. Why it is happening? Since Mars is the subclass of solar system. Mars is the subclass of solar system. That's why the object of that Mars can be considered as an instance of solar system as well. That's why it is printing true. Right. So I hope that everybody understand this hybrid inheritance also. Now we are going to see one more inheritance which cannot be possible using classes and which can be possible using interfaces. That is multiple inheritance. What is multiple inheritance here? How we can define multiple inheritance? Derivation of one from two or more superclasses. If we derive one subclass from two or more superclasses, then it is to be called as multiple inheritance. Now here you can see A is a superclass and B is a superclass, C is a subclass which is derived from two superclasses. Such type of inheritance is to be called as multiple inheritance. Now here you can see the example. So here this is a class A which is having a method, and this is class B which is having another method, and here this is class C, so which is the subclass of both class A and class B. Here there is a confusion regarding which copy of the map method should be accessed by class C. Here this is having a map method and this is also having a map method. This itself is having a map method. Now I want to access the map method by using the instance of class C. Which map method that it has to access? Either it from class A or from class B or its own map method. There is a confusion in accessing that map method. So such type of confusions are there if we derive a subclass from more than one parent class. Such type of confusion can be avoided by taking interfaces. Right. So this type of inheritance is to be called as multiple inheritance. Now I hope that everybody understand different types of inheritances. So gives a gist of all the different types of inheritances. Single inheritance, a subclass can be derived from a superclass. One single subclass is derived from one single superclass. That is to be called as single inheritance. Next, if you see the multi-level inheritance, a subclass is inherited from superclass, another subclass is inherited from subclass. how many number of levels that we can go for inheriting. This type is to be called as multi-level inheritance. And coming to hierarchical inheritance, more number of subclasses can be inherited from a single superclass. Here subclass 1, 2, 3, these two are inherited from a single superclass, which is hierarchical inheritance, and hybrid inheritance, which contains many of these different types of inheritances. Now here you can see this is single inheritance, and if you see this is multi-level inheritance, if you see this one, this is hierarchical inheritance, and if you see this one, which represents a multiple inheritance. More number of types of inheritances are present here in this hybrid inheritance. And coming to multiple inheritance, here you can see one subclass is derived from two parents. Such type of inheritance is to be called as multiple inheritance. Now out of all these three inheritances can be implemented by using classes, but multiple inheritance can be implemented by using interfaces. So I hope that everybody understand about the concept of inheritance in Java. Thank you for listening.